Okay. So why don't you tell me about your current project and your day-to-day activities there?
Sure, sure. So basically, the roles and responsibilities here was actually working as a DevOps engineer within over 8 years of experience in the IT and focusing on the cloud-related technologies. So responsible for working with the Android customization of the DevOps automation side, and I was also working with the cloud-based load balancing and the loads to reach. I was also responsible handling for the cloud formation templates. I've been working with the Fidelity Information Services in Atlanta, Georgia, uh, and responsible for developing the Azure environment through automated tools and Ansible. Jenkins customized pipelines with Terraform, reusability modules, uh, and for provisioning the infrastructure to provide services such as resource groups and the uh, other environments, and they also use third party. Under third party, we also got an experience on Azure Resource Manager templates, deployments of application environments, and automation side. We have automated the models are responsible for getting the provisionings of the infrastructure APIs and getting the infrastructure as a code developments and deploying the code representer integrated deployments inside the you know various cycles. And we also work on the code as a service related modules, and I was also working with the run levels and automations, getting approvals with the Azure Cosmos DB and Azure Active Directory, working with the container instance on the Azure DNS on traffic managers as well, and Ansible roles to continuous auto deployment and configuration of service servers. In this case, I was also responsible for working with multiple handlers and creating inventory for the Ansible playbooks, handling the orchestrated automated integration inside that, getting these third parties and automations of the VS servers. And also, I was working with the Kubernetes service, which was implemented in containers pipelines and deployments on the Azure DNS, and setting up the traffic manager API, and working on Azure network settings as well, as the and also DHCP address blocks and the DNS environments, and also cloud-based service APIs.
Yeah, that's a lot of information. So, how does your day looks like? What your typical day is working there?
So basically, in the morning, we have a Scrum meeting, and then we got the sprint planning and the sprint review meetings. I like to say, apart that we are also apart from the various meetings as well, working with various stakeholders and handle the issues in environment on real-time service. Data also data responsible for working with the custom containerization and deployments on top of that, and I was also responsible for getting that approvals. And basically, I was also working with the various third parties, giving us the approvals for the pipelines, or development APIs and the JavaScripts as well as the Node.js, those kind of.
So, how many people are there in your team?
Uh, like it's in a big team actually. Basically, we are having a uh, uh, like it's a part of big team. So we have initially, when I worked with the initial project, I marked multiple projects in the same. So I have around in first I was having around like 10 to 12% team, and the second project was like an multi-branching strategy. So they were using various you know uh, combinations of peoples based upon the plan and everything. So we have got a sprint planning, sprint review. In that way, we need to shuffle inside the team itself. It was around like 40 something. So
So, all 40 people are in US itself.
it was a combination actually. Some are in US, some are in Indian time zone, like from India.
So, do you work with offshore?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do they do for you then?
We are part of the same team actually. So basically responsible for site reliability as well as the part of the same team, kind of doing the same coverage as us, but doing in the different time zones and maintaining that, you know, and so that we can cover the entire data points and say that under different time zones, covering them on a real time.
Okay. So on the Jenkins side, what are you doing? How are you using Jenkins for your CI/CD process?
Sure. Basically, from the Jenkins, we say like right now. The base file basically with the Groovy, what are the file we are having, declarative pipelines, multiple declarative pipelines used to automate and check out the code. So the static code analysis part, that also we have to got the code deployment in before the that the code and the static code analysis part. We got the code deployment in before that, so that the Sonar Cube as well as the Code Cube and the deployment inside that having the static analysis of the code API and triggering them with the custom container automation and say that getting the approvals. I was also responsible handling the role-based access controls, and also we also work with the Google Sierra and put them in the street to take care as well as the security testing using Fortify. Finally, we build the artifact using the Maven and then push it to the access JFrog artifactory using the Maven clean install deploy.
So basically the Maven jar files, right? That you are deploying?
Yes.
Or war files?
Yes, basically we're using the Maven jar files and the wall files, which will actually use it inside them. So we are actually responsible for work to be on the jar and war files, which will automatically validate and send data to the responsible for taking these files and injecting them into the containers, which will be then deployed to the Kubernetes container repairs.
So you create the Docker image and then you deploy it to Kubernetes. EKS?
Yeah, yes, we are actually using the Kubernetes EKS containers, yes.
So can you explain me that full process of deploying microservices to EKS using Jenkins?
Coming to the deployment, so we do it in the EKS deployment, okay. Using the Jenkins, we actually have a Jenkins base file to Groovy pipeline. So what we do is Jenkins, we trigger a deployment of the Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service Jenkins in a build server. So this will basically automatically build the repository code. So that will happen in the Amazon EKS in a managed cloud service. And so there is a Jenkins instance which is set up there. So in the Amazon cluster, we will have an deployment.eml file, which will have a multiple selectors like replicas and rolling updates, as well as the metadata about the Java application, which will also define the container ports and the TCP
So Jenkins is
policies.
running within EKS, right?
Sorry?
Jenkins is running within EKS, right?
Uh, we do not know Jenkins is running on the virtual machines of Amazon Elastic Components. Uh, you know, no, I don't think
Okay,
so.
you don't know about that. Okay.
No.
So
It's
Jenkins
actually,
might be running on EC2.
uh, yeah, yeah.
And how many master and slaves do you have?
One master and two slaves, because we got like high availability to be there. So because we do multiple deployments every week, so the one master and two slaves, which are like actually when it did there on the EC2.
And how many jobs can be run in parallel?
In parallel, so we are running like in heavier executions, more than 100 executors, and then an upper limit of 120 executors in my project.
So 100 executors, you're saying?
We are running 100, but the limit is like we kept it around like 120.
So, like, so many executors are there at the same time. How much one slave has?
So sometimes multiple developers will actually start and deploy the applications to those environments. So this is how we actually handle the entire deployment service on the deployment side of the application for the high capacity.
I didn't get that. How many executors per slave?
Uh, so
Sorry, got distracted with some people chatting with me. So, how
okay.
many executors per slave that you said?
So we have to keep a very high capacity. So we have around like 25 executors per slave, and the master will have we have got around like 50 executors, but we are just keeping this as a over capacity to make sure that we are not losing out any of these builds in the application side.
Hmm. Why don't you scale horizontally and add more slaves and keep the executors low?
Uh,
Because adding so many executors to the slave, then slave might slow down.
Yeah, the reason is that, but the Jenkins is a Java virtual machine which requires like minimum 16 gigabytes of memory. So, yes, we did that, but we found out that it's always good to have high capacity machines just to make sure that there is no, memory set in memory utilization, like because we have a lot of memory integration.
Okay. And is it an enterprise version or a free version for Jenkins?
I would say that is free version of the Jenkins we are currently utilizing in our environment, and we are
And do
planning
you
to
know the
upgrade one
version
more.
of it?
Uh, Version uh, 2 point something, I don't remember exact, but I think it's something 2 point.
Okay. So you mentioned about the deployment file. It has pod, service information, config map. So how is it deployed from one environment to the other?
Oh, one environment to other. Okay. So we are, we are just prompting the bills. So Jenkins prompting of the EKS builds is done very easily and seamlessly. So what we do is we do a manual promotion of the build, and then the next rest of the steps are automatic. So what we do is we create a restore the dependent libraries and build the solution and generate the deployment artifacts such as the deputy validations or like build and find that it's suitable for the promotion to the quality analysis. They click on approve, and once approved, the bills get updated to the next version, and then obviously the Docker command line interface will be validating on top of that, and that would send to the Artifactory at API.
So are developers having access to the Jenkins pipelines?
Developers, they think they can they have only read access at the moment, deploy the pipelines, and can only deploy the pipelines, but they cannot edit the pipelines in the case. In this case, I'd say like they cannot edit at the moment. We don't have access to them.
Can they deploy to production?
No, uh, they cannot deploy the production. Only the DevOps team who can actually deploy to the production. The developers are able to test and test environment they provided. They can do the deployments and verify their whatever the updates that they are
Yeah,
getting.
so how you are restricting deploying to production?
Mm, Restricting. Sorry, can you repeat that?
How you are restricting developer not to deploy to production,
Okay.
but he is able to deploy to non-prod.
Okay, so the restriction that we're giving permissions and role access controls in this case, like one thing. Apart from that, also we are restricting them by only allowing specific permissions inside that on the data point.
I didn't get that exactly how you are restricting. What happens if user tries to deploy? Is it a single pipeline or you have two different pipelines for deploying to production and non-production environment?
So we got the rules which we created so that in Jenkins about role-based authorization strategy. We used to use that strategy to help us manage our users and roles in Jenkins. So in the rule-based project metric authorization strategy, we can specify and configure rules and then only assign the builder role and the runtime environment. I would like to say so that way we can manage.
Are you able to show your sample pipeline?
Uh, Sample I cannot show it because this is my personal laptop, so I mean like
Okay, your company laptop is not up currently.
no uh, no, it is not. This is my personal laptop and I'm not allowed to share it, so
Okay, yeah, no issues.
yeah.
So you have two separate pipelines, right? One to build and deploy to non-prod, and one to build and deploy to production, correct?
Yes, correct, yeah. And
And the one which is deploying to production, developer cannot run it.
yes,
It's in same Jenkins,
so yeah.
and developer can see it, but he cannot
Yeah,
start it.
yeah, the production deployment deployed in the which is deployed in the production, right? Actually, like say, same Jenkins, but there is some changes which are required there inside the application runtime data. So yes, he cannot change it, and he can only build it on the runtime.
He can build it during runtime. Uh, what does that mean?
So if he want to just test it right in the lower end, once he can build it, so, but not in the higher environments, he can only, you know, uh, he can only view, only read access. So lower end, in the lower environments, he can do that, but we can be validated on the top level to deploy that.
Okay, so suppose there are multiple teams
Mm-hmm.
and you want to restrict access to which jobs they can see. So how do we do that?
Jobs.
Yeah, Jenkins
Okay,
jobs.
so again, so we can get a view-based assessment in the Jenkins and restrict job view permission so that we can do, we can click on the configuration global security and enable the enable security and authorization where we can manage the project managed based authorization. Uh, okay, so that way in that strategy, the restriction of our visibility is very easy. We can also configure system to enable the project. So in that roadway strategy, we will be define the configurable plugins in Jenkins and then use a job named as a project so that we can provide an overall read and deny permissions. So this is like an you can say like run level API.
Okay, so uh, you are building again for production, right? You are building first and then deploy to non-prod environment, and then you are building again and deploying to prod environment. So there
Yes.
might be a risk there if someone
Oh, okay.
checks in some code which is not required
Yeah, sorry.
required to be checked in.
Yeah, we're not building again like in the same artifact, using the same artifact. We are using the same artifact in the guest, adding the conflict mappings to the change the specifics.
So to that pipeline, how do you pass the details about the image? What needs to be deployed?
So we pass using the credentials XML file, and also we also have this variables.txt file, which actually holds all the based on the variables based on the environment. So once the environment is segregated inside, then we can actually work on the DST file, which could be very data on the top of the bootstrap data.
But still there is a risk, right? Somebody modifies the.
So this is like very container file can actually kind of read from the specific Docker container image. Yes, that is how the pipeline is created right now. But then we are trying to uh, change it, and we are trying to make sure that we have, but we will upgrade it very soon. I think. But to make sure that we use just config maps to store, and also the vault to containerize the specific data points.
Which vault is it?
HashiCorp one.
Okay. Is it enterprise version?
Enterprise version HashiCorp. No, it's just a paid normal version. I think I don't think it's like a commercial version. Like any.
Okay. So suppose in Kubernetes you want to deploy one pod, and once that pod is up and running, then you need to deploy another pod. So how can you achieve this requirement?
So we can use the readiness probe and liveliness probe to check the readiness of the pod. So we can just go and easily do that climate using the rolling, you know, uh, we can use a rolling update of deployment so that we can check if the body is ready or not, and add on the real time the application containerization data, so that it will be very easy, and it will check for the health of the rolling update of the board. And if it is working fine, then I would say that should fine.
Don't you think Helm can be used in this case?
Hello. Uh, like in the Helm in the next, we are planning. We didn't use the Helm at the point, but we are planning to use it in the next sprint, maybe in the next 2 months, because Helm charts need a lot of changes in the main configuration files, and we are actually trying to do it in the phased manner. So the microservices initially, and then to all of them are running in the runtime environment. I would like to say we are not able to use because the configuration is not in that manner at the moment.
So you need to learn to work with Helm chart, right?
No. Like I was using the Helm before, but I have the idea and all that, but I haven't used in this project. Like the configuration, that whatever the setup they had at the moment is not supporting it. They want to use the Helms in future, but not you know uh, not currently what we are using. That.
Okay. So what is the difference between Helm 2 and Helm 3?
Helm 2. So Helm 2 and Helm 3. So the basic difference, right, is the Helm 2 and Helm 3 is that helping using the configuration mapping. Okay, using the configuration map to store the release information. In Helm 3 is using the secret to store the default storage. Apart from what that I would like to say that uh, 2 will also allow the 3 uh, like Helm to use to was strategy merge patch, where you perform the most recent manifest chat against the chat manifest. You check the difference between these two charts to determine what changes need to be applied. What changes are applied to the resources in Kubernetes, and the sources were unable to get back to its previous state because of the Helm.
There is something known as tiller, right? What is that tiller?
Tiller. The tiller was actually the component which was used to help nothing but a sizable the portion of the Helm. So it used to resize the Helm charts, and they typically run inside the Kubernetes cluster, which can be done locally and configured within the Helm. So basically, the kind of use of installations and those methods which we can find below the official API, using these installers automatically grab the data points.
So is it a server-side component or client-side component?
So basically, I think it's like a server-side component is actually used in this case.
Okay. Do you know how to do the Jenkins and Kubernetes integration so that you can run dynamic pods, and those dynamic pod can deploy to your Kubernetes cluster?
Sure.
Dynamic slave agent.
Mm-hmm. So basically, we can use an API server, okay, for the in the Jenkins integration can be done to Kubernetes by using this Kubernetes API server. So we can create a name service, and there is a namespace. We can create a service account with Kubernetes, and the admin permission with the admin permission the Kubernetes. We can local. We can once the local persistent volume is created, then for the Jenkins to persist the pod, it will create a deployment or a YAM file and deploy it and create a service .yam file. So to deploy the Kubernetes API inside the runtime.
What is that pod template? Do you know what is pod template?
The pod template is nothing but kind of to define all the specific parameters of the bonds. Now nothing but an specific that determines how to run each part. So you can use the templates to define the driver or execute upon configurations. But not support do not support in it does not support in case if you have a specific data points in the you know uh, template data.
Okay. Jenkins plugins, which one did you use?
Jenkins plugin. So basically the file-based Groovy. I actually responsible handling for the automatic Groovy integration, and I was handling the Jenkins integration and release, and also so gathering the Jenkins services really useful for handling the integrated API and manage the proper way of which was specified in the Jenkins, so automated services and deployments.
Yeah, but what do you know which plugins are there in Jenkins?
Like you mean like Kubernetes plugins? Like we have Kubernetes plugins in there for integration with various third-party repositories, and as well as the customer container. As the customer container, it was done automation. So
Any plugins that you used, which you remember now, like for doing SSH or doing scanning, Fortify? How does Jenkins to Fortify
so for the add plugins,
integration
right?
work?
Like we have a Gradle plugin, we also used SSH remote in used by SSH, and also available which is available during the scanning of Fortify tool. And also, so we got the Fortify plugin which is available as part of the data. So it should not be a problem at all. So we have various multiple tools, different plugins available.
Okay. What is your experience on handling of the plugins? Do you see any issues handling the plugins? Or
yeah, so the handling of plugins, a lot of things in there, like updates are a big headache for them, and because sometimes every now and then there is a conflict with the upgrade of the plugin. The problem is that the plugin is inside. There is sometimes miscompatibility issues. There are compatibility issues. Plugins on the real time we have been able to we have the data that needs to be able to upgrade the API as well, right? So sometimes upgradation is like a real problem.
okay. Uh, have you worked on Ansible?
Yes. So I was actually responsible for writing various Ansible uh, playbooks for the deployment and validation frameworks. So the Ansible playbook was handling for patch management of Red Hat instances in the environment, and validating the customer service inputs, also working with the customized frameworks of the Ansible tool and deployment.
How do you install Ansible on all the servers? What agent do we need to be run?
Okay, so basically coming to Ansible, the service was working with the Ansible playbooks and the deployment for the deployment, and working with the containers. So, so the source code environment what we have, right? So we deploy them on the third party, and we use the remote plugins to customize the source code data.
So is it like an agent that we need to install on the target server?
Yeah. As of now, I don't think there's no agent with, it's agentless, the Ansible, and I would like to say like the software Ansible, does it require any agent? It's that is like a chef, right? And Puppet require agents, but Ansible is main usability, like we don't need any agent. Uh,
Okay, what are the advantages of using Ansible?
uh, for the Ansible, right? So the advantages are like it really works well when because it's agentless environment. You don't need to install agents in basically any server or anything. So really easy to use and write the entire service, and the playbooks are very easy to handle when you are maintaining the environment. And we have in a specific tower, so we can maintain all those playbooks carefully. So
Any other thing?
it's a thing. I'm not everything, but I think it has a good community support as well, and very lightweight to use, and supports Python as well as out of the different out of the box different environments. So
No other advantages that you can see?
just, uh, think like there are a lot of advantages, and but this is what we are coming to mind right now. There are a lot of which there are like I fairly call it like it's in 3 minutes. So I'm, you know, so I have to. I don't know, and like it's in the last minute, so I haven't prepared that much to get in all to detail. So, uh, so
Okay. Can you explain the architecture of Ansible, how it works?
uh, yeah. So the architecture of Ansible is it has a central server which actually runs the entire commands, and that I would like to say there is an inventory and modules. You can also have an API with the plugins, and on top of that, on the network side, that CMDB data is also having got some modules that have specific user data, and the modules on the networking side have custom modules we can use in the core modules. We can be used in the core modules, and we also have connection plugins which can be triggered on top of that. So we have which can be, and these custom modules can be written in Python, which will be integrated inside the third party. So
Okay.
so
What is a playbook in Ansible?
So playbook is like nothing but in a collection of steps to so Ansible can execute the host, which executes the commands and runs in the hosts, and the Ansible inventory. Each module will have within an Ansible playbook specifies the tasks itself, and each module contain metadata that determines where the task is executed, as well as where the user executed on top of that, in which user executed on top of that. So yeah. So actually, if you don't mind, I have a call in my official office call in like 5 minutes. So
Okay.
yeah, because the
So
call they expected
Terraform,
me was like
can you tell me some Terraform commands which are very useful, which you remember?
Terraform commands like a Terraform plan and Terraform execute, or like Terraform validate. Uh, these are some of the regularly used commands like Terraform apply to. So these are all used in the daily basis, like to run the environment, or like to check or validate the environments we're actually using. So adding them to the resource, we can directly run them.
Okay. So suppose through Terraform you created some AWS resource. You have experience